Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News, coming to you from my studio headquarters in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got a Bachelor Clayton Eckerd story to get to. Studio demands apology. Boy, how did we get here? I know if you haven't been following for a few months, Laura Owens and her attorney, who we're calling Jingy, they got together, paid $350 to do a podcast episode where they shared their side of the story, which again, it's like, you don't need a podcast. They could have done this over Zoom. Either way, they then never released the episode and claimed it was because the podcast had bad audio. The podcast studio, that is. Well, now the studio's claiming it's defamation. I mean, it's up to a judge to decide, but they could sue them for defamation. The studio is seeking funds to get their lawyer involved, and I'm going to share all of which has gone down since this weekend. On Saturday, I covered, we interviewed Layla, I believe on Friday, from the podcast studio, PS Creative Studios, and she wanted nothing to do with this, but like the rest of us, when her character got sort of slammed, and when she basically got riled up to the point where she goes, "No, I need to. They're going to affect my business if they're going to go and say we have bad audio. We're a podcast studio. We can't have bad audio." So some of the comments coming in to support her, I'm glad this studio owner is blasting this all over YouTube. She needs to be stopped. She's constantly using the legal system to get revenge on people that call her out. This will be a glorious takedown. Another said, "I love that Layla is like, oh, hell no, you are coming after my business. One that she spent many years building into a reputable and profitable business. She's fiercely protective of her employees as well. Love to see it." Another said, "I'm calling it now. The Layla chapter will mark Lowe's most frenetic spiral. Layla hits all her sore spots. Layla is a very attractive woman of similar age with a similar education level." I mean, these things sound so silly to say, but they kind of have a point. You know, it seems as though there's certain people that trigger Laura more than others. I, for one, have been a bit of a trigger. Maybe I'm her type. I don't know. I don't know what it could be. I couldn't begin to get into. Maybe it's that we have a podcast featured in Time Magazine. I truly don't know. And by the way, if you're listening to what I'm saying right now, and you're like, "Dave, I love following this, but I don't really follow Bachelor Nation." My podcast in January, the Rush Hour podcast with Dave Neal, which covers the news, entertainment, some political, but more coffee, what do I say? Water cooler style news that you're going to talk about, a scam happening, the assassin on the loose, that type of stuff. I will have that for you on YouTube. I know not everyone who watches YouTube listens to podcasts and vice versa. So starting in January, my workload is going to get extremely busy as I will be making my twice daily podcast, which you can scan here, available on YouTube. If you love me, you'll listen and watch at the same time. But either way, we appreciate your patronage. If it's not in the Clayton Eckerd news, there is a lot of other interesting stuff going on. But we have been the forefront of the coverage here. And Layla knows that. She knows we've been the ones covering this for over a year now, and she's aware of my story, which is that I was just doing my job in my niche that I work in, and this thing, like a tumbleweed blowing in the night, blew into my arena, and we've covered it with the same volition that Layla is, covering it to say we are not going to back down 1 inch. Now, Laura and her attorney will say, "Well, he's crazy. He's making hundreds of videos." You're damn right. Let's do 1,000 of them. You know what I mean? Like, we'll keep doing this. I got free time. You want to come for me? Say you're going to make me homeless, going to sue me for $80 million? I absolutely will clear a portion of my schedule to make sure no T is not crossed, no I is not dotted. Was that a double negative? You got the point. So anyway, yeah, the different comments, someone said they're in the same region, that being, Maricopa. To really add salt to the wound, Layla possesses a wicked and effortless charisma and confidence with near flawless public speaking skills. Thus far, Laura has been really perfected the art of victimizing people by targeting their most intensely personal vulnerabilities. She's maintained a monopoly over this entire game, almost entirely due to her family's wealth and access to platforms in which she can disseminate her narrative on a very large scale. Cough Daddy, the radio host, and Mommy, the journalist, cough. She really messed up with Layla. Layla has no personal relationship with Lo. Typically, that's how Lo exploits her victims' greatest vulnerabilities. This leaves money and access skills in PR and communications. Lo doesn't have anywhere bearing her usual. Okay, so yeah, look, and I feel like to an extent that's how my channel has had its success, is that I don't know Laura personally, and I have no allegiance to Clayton other than I believe him. I have no allegiance to anyone in Bachelor Nation other than I generally treat people with respect and expect that they're trying the best with the information they have. I don't give that grace to Laura because I don't think she's trying the best with the information she has, or her attorney. And as we're going to show next, some of the information they have is that they lied, that they manipulated information to prove a point. And then they're going to go so far as to kind of deny that, which I'll share with you in a second. So as we continue down the Instagram story timeline from PS Creative Studios, any support you can provide, we appreciate immensely. Justice for PS Studios fighting defamation and fraud. So if you feel so inclined, there is a Give, Send, Go you can donate to. They've raised over $1,000. Look, a lawyer costs $500 an hour. You know what I mean? So they're raising money so that they can properly get their lawyer involved to put an end to this insanity. So here they say, grateful for the support, and we have officially submitted our paperwork with Rachel Mitchell's office. Whoa, interesting stuff. Rachel Mitchell, county prosecutor, putting together quite the file on Laura Owens right now. Now, Rachel Mitchell just got reelected as county prosecutor, but I have to imagine she's got ambitions higher than county prosecutor. Maybe she wants to be the state attorney. How does that work? Maybe she wants to be the U.S. Attorney's General. I'm not really sure, but I can tell you this. If this is the type of story that she doesn't prosecute, people will remind her and remind voters of this in the future. That's not a threat. That's democracy. If you aren't, and I'm not saying she's not going to do that. So far, Rachel Mitchell has showed all signs of pursuing this. In fact, my sources say that an indictment is imminent. That's what my sources say. We don't have an update on that in the last few weeks. But with all of these added little things going on, whose job is it other than Rachel Mitchell's to fight for legal representation when something's going wrong within your district? So let's just read what was written. If someone posted a defamatory statement about your business on Twitter, can you seek damages for the amount of views and days the post was public? Yes, you may seek damages for a defamatory statement posted on Twitter, and the amount of views or the duration the post was public can be considered when calculating damages. However, the ability to recover damages and the amount depends on several factors. Types of damages, actual damages. These cover measurable financial losses directly resulting from the defamation, such as lost clients, revenue, or contracts. Now, that might be hard to prove, right? Which is really tough with Clayton Echard because there's a lot of lost potential. General damages. These address non-monetary harm, like damage to reputation, emotional distress, and humiliation. Punitive damages. In cases of malicious intent or egregious misconduct, you may seek additional damages to punish the defendant. Now, I would argue that the damages could be seen as punitive because they do have malicious intent. They are trying to discredit the podcast studio as a way to, I guess, fight back the podcast studio, saying they don't want to do business with her. Factors affecting damages. Number of views, reach. Posts that go viral or have a large audience can increase the damage to your reputation and may justify higher damages. Duration of publicity. The longer a defamatory post remains visible, the more harm it can cause, further influencing the damages awarded. Legal considerations. To successfully recover damages, you must prove the following. The statement was false. Done. The statement was published on Twitter in this case. Done. The statement caused harm, financial loss, reputational damage. Done. The person who posted the damages acted with negligence or malicious intent, depending on the circumstances. Done. So they believe they have a strong case here. Now, defamation is hard to prove, but I have to tell you this. I hate to say, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, right? And I would not wish on Lo anything that she has done to anybody else. And with that, I mean, I don't think being the target of any lawsuits, frivolous or otherwise, is a good thing. But the scale of defamation is hard to consider, because if you look at the defamation here, they said the audio was bad at a podcast studio. That's like as bad as it can get. It's a podcast studio. Their job is to provide you good audio. So to say that they were unprofessional and all these things, they actually, Laura's attorney is doubling down on his claims. We'll get to that in a second. So they talk about the malicious intent and the importance of evidence. And of course, PS Studios says their evidence is a audio file they have of the consenting transaction, that being Laura receiving the files. Now, her attorney deleted the tweet that they're saying is defamation. Reputational harm that led to a loss of business. Glad we're on Twitter now. So someone said, I was going to go bring my money to this studio and be a client, but because of your claims about this being the only audio provided, I will no longer be using this business, affecting their sales. I will protest this business because of your awards. Thank you. Now, any reasonable person following this case knows that this tweet here was done by somebody who wasn't, well, look, you know what? You can't make assumptions, but it's really obvious that this tweet is to prove that there was a harm done. I will no longer be using your, whatever, because that's part of what you have to prove. With that said, it doesn't mean that it's not true. It doesn't mean that that's not true, that this harm, if somebody Googles it and finds these things out in the public, it's all a result of Laura's attorney posting and claiming that the audio was bad when it clearly wasn't. So that's just a funny post there. So now Justice for Clayton official on Instagram has announced breaking news. Laura's attorney has deleted the defamatory tweet. So we're going to get to what he had to say, because he didn't just delete the tweet. He actually is kind of doubling down. To file a complaint against an attorney called the State Bar of Arizona, and that was posted by PS Creative Studios. Now, do I believe the State Bar of Arizona is going to do nothing? No, to be quite honest, from what I've seen from the State Bar of Arizona, I think these guys are just there to protect each other. I think it's an old boys club. I don't think they're going to do anything to protect people. I think that's the Attorney General's job. I think they're just there unless Laura Owens files a complaint against her attorney. I don't see them doing anything. Now, the judge filed a complaint. What will they do about that? We'll have to see. That's still up in the air. So this is the tweet that he deleted, which was that the audio was so bad it was unusable. So this is the tweet where I started calling her attorney Laura's bitch, because the fact that he's willing to lie for her is interesting, right? So she posts this.
Gotcha. You guys sound good. Okay.
So that's the audio from a video file, which of course is not the professional audio attached to a microphone. You can hear the difference right over here, and then this, high quality audio that the podcast studio clearly has. So I guess, look, you could say, well, how's he supposed to know if she's lying? Well, he's been with her for months now. Shouldn't he worry about his own reputation before sharing something? And by the way, why, as her represented lawyer, Laura's bitch, does he feel the need to be her PR person? Look, she can hire him to be her PR person all she wants. I don't know what the backdoor deal is that they have. I just think it's strange that he's so willing and easily willing to damage his own reputation, whatever that may be, to lie for her. She's got a Twitter. She's got a platform. She could be posting all of this. It's almost like she's manipulating him and getting him to be the one who looks bad as he fights for her. We call that like a white knight syndrome, right? So anyway, there's just the amazing memes. The Justice for Clayton library of receipts, memes, and screenshots. Reminder, this goes away if Laura stops the chargeback, proves it, and pays any bank fees the studio was charged, retracts his Twitter post, and issues an apology. So far, they've just retracted his Twitter post. Let's see if there's anything else going on the Instagram here. So yeah, he deleted the tweet. We have that. But so far, he's only deleted the tweet, but he has responded. Someone said 1 hour ago, I'm glad you took your defamatory post about PS Creative down. Now, when will you and Laura issue an apology? He says, my post was not defamatory. Laura told me the audio was bad. Okay, so there he is throwing his client under the bus. But again, no surprises. And the only file I had was the one she sent me, which had bad audio. I would love to see the email that she sent to him. If he's not the one who did something wrong here, share the email. Like, let's see, did she forward you this is where it gets kind of dodgy, right? So this is, now hold on a second. I'm going to get somewhere right now. So this is a video clip. So what he's saying is, this is the only thing she sent him. So she had the wherewithal to take a 2-hour video episode, edit it down to the first 7 seconds, share that, but didn't know to include the good audio, there is no better case for malicious intent. There is no better case. You mean to tell me Laura, someone who's run a podcast for a few years, knows her way around editing software because she's admitted to fabricating medical documents in Adobe Acrobat, and by Adobe Acrobat, you got to pay a premium service for, right? The same service would give you Adobe Premiere, which is the editing software I use to make all my videos, calling them out. So I use the same software, but I'm kind of doing it for good here. We're kind of like Robin Hooding this thing here. We're exposing the corruption and the fraud, and then we're promoting our single mom Christmas wish list so we could give some of our traffic and energy to the people that actually need it. But I digress. But it's interesting to see that after a 2-hour clip, she shares the bad audio and doesn't share any context, if we're to believe him. So if he is telling the truth, he's for sure throwing her under the bus. The studio warned us that they had problems with their audio, which is why we discussed this at the start of the clip. And by the way, that also is such a bad look. That's, they clearly gave them good audio, which means they didn't have a problem with audio. Sometimes how it works is you set up a studio for somebody. Sometimes you'll customize the look. You'll move the mics around. Everybody talks differently. She's got a vocal fry. He's over there. They need to move the thing, adjust it, this and that. So there's a reason why there's a sound engineer in the room. To say they have bad audio is like, no. That's almost like saying a cinematographer has a bad video camera. No, he's getting the flipping shot. He's setting it up. So my guess is, there's a ground noise. We need to fix that out. So turn that off, turn this on. You have a whole mixer full of, different doodads and buttons and bebops that you have to get the audio right. And then they record. So for him to say, well, they actually had audio problems. It's like, well, first of all, a helicopter's going to fly by. There's going to be a buzz that needs to be removed. This happens every single time you record. That's just the finicky world of audio. So he doubles down there. Says it wasn't defamatory, throws his client under the bus again. And here's what's so funny. I'm going to read his comment one more time and then go to the response, because you guys on the internet are so good. You're so good. He goes, oh yeah, the studio warned us. Okay, he says, Laura told me the audio was bad, and the only file I had was the one she sent me, which had bad audio. Chase Stone replies, I would maybe ask myself why Laura only gave you partial information that resulted with you making a false statement. Yeah, that's the same thing that she did to Dr. Medchill. The partial information game is what she lives by. If the tweet wasn't defamatory, why bother to delete it? You're so embarrassing. Hashtag yikes. Do you see how she misled you? This should clue you in to how she's bamboozled you from the start. Your post was defamatory. Screenshots are forever, David. That sounds like a song. Screenshots are forever. So then he continues. Or did we get it all? I think we got it all. He says, as soon as the studio issues an apology, someone says, the question was, when are you going to, what was the question? He says, as soon as the studio issues an apology. After all, they are the ones who started this mess. Laura and I said nothing about them until the studio started attacking Laura. The studio's conduct has been absolutely shocking and disgraceful, but that's just how JFC works. So the question is he right? Is he doubling down? They said they didn't want to be involved in that situation. You lied. Two totally different things. What you're saying is Laura's charge takeback was retaliatory and not because of a faulty product. Gotcha. Oh my gosh. They are just setting up traps. The internet has set up so many traps for this guy, and he's walking through it like Tweedledee and Tweedledum, skipping through the tracks. Doink, 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 trap, 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 trap. Unbelievable. So now he's saying, hey, they started it. So what? That's retaliatory? If I'm not a lawyer, but if I were a lawyer, my advice would be to be quiet, to not give people anything to work with. And yet, people on the internet seem to be out lawyering Laura's bitch. This is wild stuff. So anyhow, there's your update. Now, will Layla from PS Creative Studios take it kindly that he's calling her disgraceful? Here we have and again, I'm not trying to make this about sex or anything, but that's why we're here, folks, or lack thereof. But here we have Laura's attorney accusing a female business owner of being shocking and disgraceful. Why? All because she's standing up for herself? Maybe women aren't allowed to stand up for themselves in his household. I'm not really sure. But where we come from, we applaud that. I married a boss-ass bitch. I think that's what they're allowed to be called, right? And I like seeing powerful people, man or woman. I like to see that. The problem with Laura Owens is that there is no power. It's all weakness. It's hiding behind statements, hiding behind messages to the Better Business Bureau, letting your lawyer you're not even paying do your dirty work. I'll bet my money on people like Layla and the other women in the community that have laid out the traps that he has stepped in. I'll bet my money on them to be the ones who win in all of this, and not on the guy who clearly, even though he says, if I find out she lied, I will leave her. Clearly, he's not living up to his own words. I'm all about the First Amendment, even when people lie. And clearly, he's lied about his intentions here. Wild stuff. I think we're going to have an update from Layla. I'm going to try to get her on the phone, and we'll see what she has to say about this. More coming your way. You can join the Patreon, patreon.com/Dave Neal, if you want to support private YouTubes that we, every day we have behind-the-scenes content for you. We appreciate those that have helped us out and keep the show running. Otherwise, you could scan that QR code and listen to the podcast twice a day, every day. We'll see you in a little bit. Bye.